What a special atmosphere for one of the great occasions of any rugby league season. He's got the strength, he's got the speed, drenched, dazzling in this wonderful, most famous and historic of competitions.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Sportsman for more live Betfred Challenge Cup action. We're at Cougar Park this afternoon. Keighley Cougars against the York Knights. It's the second round. Who better to have alongside me than a man who knows both of these clubs very, very well? Andrew Henderson, once of this parish, of course, now involved with York. It's a big game, this. Two teams that there probably won't be that much between them, and that third round tie against Hull KR on the horizon, it's a big prize.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge prize. And once again, it's York's first competitive fixture. I know we had a friendly last weekend away in Amsterdam against Hull Kingston Rovers, funnily enough. But it's our first competitive fixture here this afternoon. And it's one of those, we know it. Cougar Park's a tricky place to come to. It's got its own sort of, things to it in terms of the slope and the way it's sort of heavy underfoot. So it's something our players will have to get used to. And also as well, the crowd can be right on top of you. They can be quite hostile as well. So it could create an intimidating atmosphere for our players today, but I'm confident that we'll have enough to get the job done.
You mentioned that word, competitive. That could be the leveller, couldn't it? Because both of these teams, I'm sure the fitness levels will be good. I'm sure they'll have talked about game plans and things like that. But there's no substitution for match sharpness in proper games, is there? Yeah,
look, and I think we'll see both teams will still have an element of rustiness there. There's no doubt about it, because they haven't had loads of pre-season friendlies in preparation for this game. So we're probably going to see a little bit of that. But however, like I said, I think both coaches will want to see, a competitive fixture from their respective sides in terms of making sure that they're competing in all the effort areas and making sure they're executing some of the things that they've been working on through pre-season. They'll want to see that translate today, but obviously both will want to have that prize of playing in the next round of the Challenge Cup at home against Hull Kingston Rovers on Friday night. Yeah,
it's a big afternoon, a lot at stake. Let's hear it from the two men preparing their sides for this Betfred Challenge Cup second round game. Well, Jake, good to see you again. First day proper of the new season for you guys. There must be real excitement about getting stuck into the Betfred Challenge Cup.
Yeah, it is. We've had a drawn-out pre-season. We had 3 games. We've got some bodies back this week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the boys out there. It's going to be a big challenge. York are a great side, and the Challenge Cup is a prestigious competition. And to be involved in it, we're really excited as a club and as a team.
You've had a couple of pre-season friendlies against championship opposition, but this is obviously the real deal today. You must be excited about this as a test for your side going into the new campaign.
Yeah, definitely. We've had the challenges before, but it's a bit of a mix of a squad. We haven't really given the boys the minutes that we've needed. We've had a lot of young boys in, but now we've down to the business part. Challenge Cup's here, and York's a formidable opponent. So we've got to turn up today for sure.
And looking at who you've kind of retained and recruited coming to this season, you mentioned young players. There is a real mix, isn't there, of youth and experience in this side?
Yeah, that was what was set out at the start of pre-season. We needed to retain the senior boys and also blood some youth. We've really stuck with that theory, and we've got a bit of youngsters and youth playing today. They've earned their spot in the squad, and the senior boys will lead the way.
And the prize on the line this afternoon, obviously a home game against Hull KR. Have you used that to try and motivate your group this week at all?
No, I haven't. We take it 1 week at a time. York is a formidable opponent already. To look past them would be nothing but disrespect to them and to the competition. But it is in the back of my mind. But we need to go out there today and put a marker down for ourselves. And it's down to the boys to do that. We've had a really good week training. We're under no illusion that they're going to come here. They've had a good victory against Hull KR last week. They're going to be full of confidence, and we've got to turn up.
Well, Mark, Amsterdam one weekend, Cougar Park the next. It must be really exciting to be getting stuck into a competitive game and what is really, a big Betfred Challenge Cup tie.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to it. Amsterdam were a great experience, but I won't lie to you, everyone had an eye on this week. We've been itching to get a competitive game, and a great way to start at Cougar Park. It's a great ground to play at, a proper old school rugby ground, and one we're looking forward to.
It's kind of that classic cup tie feel to it, isn't it? A championship side against a Betfred League One team, but one of the leading sides in Betfred League One. I guess you haven't had to communicate to your players too much that they're going to have to be at the metal today.
No, we spoke about it all week, to be fair, and it's a very good point that there's no pressure on Keighley as such, and there's expectation on us, and we want to embrace that. We're expecting a very tough game. They've got some big forwards and some strike out wide, so it's definitely going to be an attitude test for us to make sure that we're willing to muck in and do the work that we normally do. And I'll be really disappointed if there's any player out there that thinks that they're going to get a result if they don't. So we're going to give Keighley the respect they deserve. I've been to Cougar Park many a times. And how difficult it can be to play, and they're a very proud bunch that's going to want to put on a performance for the fans, and get their season off to a winning start as well.
You mentioned difficult place to come, the crowd's right on top of you, it'll be noisy. How much do you look to your experience, your leaders, your likes of Paul McShane in there as well? Yeah,
listen, once you're out on that field, all you can control is how you're performing on there, isn't it? The rest of it's just noise. So, I'd be disappointed if any player let that sort of atmosphere get to them. If anything, they should embrace it and enjoy that sort of atmosphere. I think it's great coming to grounds like this. It reminds me of my childhood, when I was playing and when I was a youngster too, and I know players enjoy coming to these sort of grounds, but all we're bothered about is putting in a strong performance and getting ourselves into that next round of the Cup, and we know it's not going to be a rollover. We know that we're going to have to work hard for it, so we've prepared as well as we can, and we're looking forward to a very tough 80 minutes rugby.
Big prize on the line, opportunity to take Hockey back to your place in a cup game. Have you spoken about that at all?
Not really. I think I've been involved in enough games now that I've realised if you start thinking about week after, you end up not being in that draw because you don't do the performance you need. So we've just spoke about Keighley. We know what's at stake for both teams. If you do, a good chance to test yourself against one of the best teams in the UK at the moment. But there's no point even thinking about that till you take care of business on the day, which is beating Keighley Cougars, just as they'll be wanting to get a result on us as well.
Best of luck this afternoon, mate.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
So both head coaches looking forward to this one, looking forward to getting into competitive action here at Cougar Park. So let's run you through the teams that they are putting out this afternoon. Keighley Cougars starts off at fullback, making his debut, one of Rugby League's great travelling showmen, Jared Sammett in the 34 jersey. He is behind the back line with Billy Walkley and Brad Holroyd on the wings. Inside them in the centres, Oliver Whitford and Junior Sowell. Pub captain bringing all of his experience, of course. It's a half-back pairing of Isaac Farrell and Jack Miller. They play behind a pack, fronted up by Joe Beja, Harry Bowes and Jordan Schofield. In the second row, Adam Ryder and Lachlan Lansky, with Dan Parker locking in the 13 for Keighley. Coming off the bench, another player, all the experience in the world, George Flanagan Senior. He's joined by Eliu, Elliot Cousins and Charlie Mackler. For the visitors, York, the Betfred Championship outfit, of course. They start off with Joe Brown at fullback. It's a wing pairing of Joe Law and Miles Harrison, and a centre duo of Kieran Buchanan and Levi Edwards inside then. 6 and 7, Atta Hingano and Liam Harris for the Knights, and a front row of Jack Martin, Jordan Thompson and Paul McShane, former Man of Steel, of course, making his competitive debut for the Knights. Jesse D and Oliver Field are in the second row, with Jacob Gannon locking things in and coming in off the bench for the visitors. Sam Cook, Jack Teamby, Brendan Santi and Connor Fitzsimmons. Endo, pleasure to have you alongside us. A place you know very well, two clubs you know very well, and two very exciting lineups.
Absolutely. Look, I think the introduction of Jared Sammett into the team at fullback is going to be an interesting one to watch this afternoon. Obviously, Sammett, as we know, highly experienced, plenty of Super League experience, plenty of experience in the Champions as well. It looked like he was going to finish his career off at Bradford at the back end of last season, but has found a home at Keighley late in the day, and he'll be looking for a big performance to sort of impress his new coach, Jake Webster. But it's the halfback pairings I'm looking forward to. Jack Miller, the former League One Player of the Year, partnering up with Isaac Farrell, who's another young prospect come out of the Huddersfield system and established himself well at Sheffield. He'll be looking to make his mark today up against the experienced Liam Harris and Atta Hingano. Hingano was sensational for us last year with the York Knights, had a wonderful season, Player of the Year for us, and obviously Liam Harris, our captain, again, strong player, great kicking game, smart player and a good leader. So, yeah, really looking to that halfback battle today, Lewis.
Yeah, battles like right across the field, isn't it? I think the interesting one in the centres as well, with Junior Sow, all of that experience for Keighley. On the other side of the ball, Levi Edwards, who's come through the lead system.
Yep.
Very much at the beginning of his journey, and there's matchups, fascinating matchups, aren't there, from 1 to 13, and players, like you say, beginning of the season, first competitive hit out, 2 competitive expanded squads, players playing for jerseys, players playing to impress.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned about some of the battles there. Junior Sow against Levi Edwards. It's like the old bull against the young bull there from the Keighley old fella against the young York fella. But on the flip side, you look at the hookers, Paul McShane, the old bull, against the young Harry Bowes, former of Wakefield. Yeah, that's going to be a great battle too. But you're right there, Lewis. You know, it's the first real competitive hit out here, especially for the York Knights. And I think every player who's selected today for both teams respectively are going to want to impress their coaches to make sure they stay, obviously, in with a chance for selection 5 days' time against Hull Kingston Rovers, but be there for the start of the season come round 1.
Well, we've just had a glimpse of the reason we are all here, the Betfred Challenge Cup, the most beautiful trophy in all of sport, by my opinion. Wembley still far on the horizon, but slightly closer, an opportunity for one of these sides to welcome beaten Betfred Super League Grand Finalists Hull KR to their home patch next week. And we've had this little bit of a restructure around the Challenge Cup and where the Super League teams come in and the seeding, and it's thrown up some real kind of classic cup ties already.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I just think, you know, I think even some of these amateur clubs, you know, that have now progressed to round 3, you know, what a day out they're going to have. And I suppose the only thing for me is it's a shame that maybe some of the amateur clubs, I believe, don't have the facilities to facilitate, you know, a game of that magnitude, which is a shame, because I think if you're looking back, that's me probably being a little bit of a traditionalist, looking back in the day where you'd have to travel to those clubs, and they could really make it a fantastic day for their clubs, having the big team in town, and obviously generate the income, much needed income and revenue from that fixture. But either way, like you said, there's some great opportunities for teams from the lower divisions to really match up against and host, you know, the Super League side.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be no concerns about facilities for either of these two sides. I reckon we'll have plenty of Hull KR fans joining us throughout the afternoon as well to see where they're making the trip to on Friday night. That is a game that will be live and exclusive right here on the Sportsman. A double header for us in the first round next weekend with Halifax Panthers and Catalan Dragon on the Saturday lunchtime. Right here, right now, as the atmosphere builds around us at Cougar Park, there's a real sense of anticipation about this one. As soon as it got drawn out of the hat, it felt like it could give us some fireworks, some drama, some of that Challenge Cup magic that we've all grown up on. A really strong York Knights contingent over on that far side. I'm sure they'll be backing their team vocally throughout the afternoon. And, well, anyone who's been to Cougar Park, spent an afternoon watching a game here, will know exactly what the atmosphere from the home fans will be like from minute 1. Just maybe the Cougars sense a little bit of blood early on in the season. First competitive hit out, knockout football. All the recipes for something special to happen this afternoon. We've had some fantastic entertainment from this ground on the Sportsman over the years. When we got here earlier today, Jake Webster came up to me and said, "I hope we do better than we did last time you were here." Hansler doing a job on them in the playoffs last season on their route back to the Betfred Championship. Rugby League royalty in the house as well.
Yes,
RFL Vice
indeed.
President,
Indeed.
friend of ours, Danica Prim, joining us. A big foam finger.
Getting into the spirit of things.
One of the real Heartland clubs, isn't this? One of the, you know, a real, we talk about community clubs in Rugby League. This certainly is one of them. The Challenge Cup. That is what it is all about. So, counting down to kick off here. The trophy is here. 2 teams in the tunnel or thereabouts, raring to go. Just talk to us, Hendo, the early exchanges of this game. We've mentioned, you know, both teams coming into this without that match sharpness that they'd have if we were playing this game 4 weeks, 6 weeks down the line. it's going to be interesting to see who settles into it first.
Yeah, it will be interesting. You know, I think both teams will have the intention of starting fast. They're going to come out. They're going to want to bring the energy from kick-off from minute one. But again, it's just about getting a feel in the game, getting a carry. Ball security is going to be key early. You know, I think for both teams, they just want to make sure they box off their sets early, turn the ball over in the right areas of the field, and then really try and front load some energy.
Well, here we go. Here come the sides. York first, walking out, saluting their supporters on that far side. Past that Betfred Challenge Cup. York, of course, have been to Wembley in the not-so-distant past in the 1895 Cup final a few years ago. Well, they won't be thinking that far ahead just yet, but 80 minutes away from a real glamour tie against Hull KR in the next round. Standing in their way, of course, the home side, the Keighley Cougars, coached by Jay Webster, led out by Junior Sal. Well, that shocker pink hair. And before a ball has even been kicked, Endo, there is a real just sense of the Challenge Cup around us, a sense of something a little bit different. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, again, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The Challenge Cup, we see upsets happen at times. Obviously, I'm hoping there's not an upset today from the York perspective, but ultimately, like you said, you know, in these sort of games, there is a different feel to it. There's a different preparation to it. It's a one-off game. You know, anything can happen. And I think Keighley, the longer they're in the contest, the more belief and confidence they will grow. But obviously York will want to get out the blocks early and try and make a marker off this first set the tone.
Matt Lynn is our referee this afternoon. And it's going to be Keighley who get us underway in that red and green kit with the white chevron, kicking from left to right on your screen to York in their black and amber hoops.
Well, I'll tell you now, Lewis, with Jared Salmon kicking off here, this kick could go anywhere.
He's a box of tricks, isn't he? So here we go, underway. Second round action in the Betfred Challenge Cup. It is York who will get first taste of the football, and you spoke about both teams wanting to start fast. I'm sure both teams as well will want to start clean and disciplined and not let errors creep into the game early on. York already making some decent progress early on in this set. Jacob Ganner playing the ball, and Paul McShane needs very little introduction, of course. The former Steve Prescott Man of Steel, Castleford Tigers stalwart for all of those years, now plying his trade with the York Knights in the championship of the Betfred Challenge Cup, and straight away a gap up the middle for Jordan Thompson to burst through. He's eventually hauled down, but decent opening set from a York perspective in terms of metres made. The hands up in the air, so this is the last. They've got pretty much the full width of the pitch to play with. And the ball goes up in the air via the boot of Liam Harris. He's batted back down, and Jared Samet comes onto it straight away, but that's got to ground. Everybody's going to say that the first knock-on was from a York Knight's hand, so Keighley survived just a little bit of an early scare. They'll get the ball for the first time this afternoon on their own 10-metre line.
It's a great first set for the York Knights there, Lewis. Rolling 90 metres down the hill there. Really good outcome to the end of the set, finish inside the 10 metres. And now they can really get off their line as they have their line set, their marker set, and they get some right line speed.
And it's an interesting factor, isn't it, at this ground. It's a condensed playing area, it's a shorter pitch, there is a little bit of a slope, so that always does come into the thinking of the half-backs and the kicking game, and Keighley obviously very used to it, playing here week in, week out, but it does just give back threes and the fullbacks, the half-backs, the kickers, something extra to think about. So Keighley will kick from deep early on in the set, clear their lines, and York straight away looking to return the football into positive equity, get themselves camped in the Keighley half. This is Hingano at acting half, brings the ball out to Levi Edwards, who we mentioned a little bit earlier on, Leeds Rider's product. He'll play the ball just short of halfway. Joe Law, next cab off the rank for York, brings them into Keighley territory. McShane just shapes one way and then comes back the other with Jacob Gannon coming onto the ball. He gets an offload away, and it's McShane there against the support. Now he brings us out to the left-hand side, and here's Edwards trying to shore the winger, but a really good defensive effort from Billy Walkley.
It's a great tackle from Walkley.
It was a Betfred League One Young Player of the Year nominee, but then Hingano on the next tackle strolls through to score the first try of the afternoon, and after a brilliant defensive effort from Billy Walkley, the gap just opened up and plenty of space for Hingano to just strut through and put Dot down.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see it on the replay here. Walkley comes in and makes the tackle on Edwards. They just couldn't get the numbers around the corner to fill up that short side defensively. And Hingano, as smart as he is, he sees the opportunity. We see the offload there from Gannon. McShane skimming across there. He picks up Edwards, and Edwards probably should have found the pass on the outside, but he decides to go himself. It's a great tackle from Walkley. And then we see there Hingano. It's a 3v2, shows and goes. Sabat leaves the scene and opens it up there for a try there for York Knights. Gets them off the start with a 4-0.
I'm sure that's exactly what Mark Applegarth would have wanted, to talk about banana skin games and tricky cup ties for the teams that are playing sides from the division below. Well, that is about as good a start as you can get, just in terms of settling any nerves that might be kicking about and just addressing that favourites tag. There's Miles Harrison on kicking duty this afternoon for the Knights, so about 5 metres in from the touchline. Probably look to bend this one in right to left. A little bit of a breeze kicking around. We can see the flags on the far side of the ground blowing about a bit, and it's a decent connection. It looks all good. It is good. The flags go up. So York Knights off to a flyer here at Cougar Park. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes gone, and they're into a 6-0 lead. And you can see the intent from very early on. That first set with the ball, they marched themselves pretty much the length of the field, and from that point on, they were always winning the arm wrestle, weren't they?
Well, I think you're right there, Lewis. It was a great opening set from York. They go 90 metres. They force Keighley to kick well inside their 30. So as you said, Joe Brown collects the ball. He's straight into good ball, and off the back of that set, they just kept attacking. Great late offload from Gannon, that then obviously produces the opportunity for Hingano a play later down that short side to score.
So York back with ball in hand. McShane brings us out to the right-hand side. Keighley just want to stick in this now. Can live with conceding an early trial. I just want to make sure that they don't get rolled downfield again. They have done a better job so far in this set, just restricting the metres, although that's a decent carry from Gannon, who brings us up just short of halfway. Options both sides of the ruck for Paul McShane. Brings us out to the right-hand side again, and York happy to just keep it in the tram lines for the time being. This is the last, so the kick will come in just inside Keighley territory, and up it goes from Liam Harris, another tall one. Holroyd safely underneath it, back playing his trade in Betfred League One. Former witness man, spent some time playing in Australia last year, now back with Keighley. And the Cougars now, an important set, it feels, this one, just to settle back into the game after conceding that early try. Now they'll come out to the right-hand side, but the York defence stands firm.
Find the line! Go 4. Well done, Ollie.
Into the line comes Jordan Schofield. This is the last, so Keighley will be kicking from inside their own territory. It's Miller who puts boot to the ball. It's spiralling a bit up there, but Joe Brown safe enough underneath it and brings it back up towards the 40-metre mark.
Once again, it's another controlled set there from York, you know, nice and direct. They get to a kick at the end of the set. Obviously well collected there by Holroyd, but once again defensively really restricting the metres for Keighley going up this hill.
So Edwards wrapped up by three Cougars defenders, pretty central. And again, McShane has options left and right. Decides to go himself and then brings it back on the inside for Jordan Thompson to have a crack. So much experience in that York front row, of course.
Harry, stay on the ropes. 5.
And again, the Knights just working themselves into an attacking position on the final play of the set. The kick will come in again. Harris goes for the same option that he's opted for every time so far. And again, Brad Holroyd is safe underneath it. Junior Sal will now bring us out to the right-hand side. Walkley will look to apply a little bit of footwork and get himself out of trouble. There's the offload, so Keighley not afraid to play with the football a little bit inside their own territory as Lansky takes a couple of defenders on, eventually hauled down by D, 10 metres away from his own line. And again, Billy Walkley will try and put the gas on and get his team away from their own sticks. York's defence doing a good job so far of smothering them. They'll come out to Holroyd on the left edge. Keighley, a lot of huffing and puffing in this yardage set, but not a huge amount to show for it so far. And
Good tackle there.
Shane in there. Trademark defensive effort of his. And now boot goes to ball again, and Joe Brown just drifts underneath it, takes it cleanly, and he's able to return this one with a little bit of pace. Kick chase is not bad from a Keighley perspective, so they shut York down inside Knights territory, but decent attacking platform for the away team and a good offload. McShane able to just reload the set, get things away to Hingano. Try scorer, of course, just a couple of minutes into this game, trying to step away from a few tackles, eventually hauled down. McShane again brings us out to the right-hand side to Harris. Ollie Field running back on the inside. Now McShane brings us left. Harris has got loads of options over on this left-hand side. Hingano, Edwards are looking to go through the hands. He opts to keep it in possession for the time being, crabs back across, and then a forced offload, a forced error.
I think he's saying it's off Keighley.
Well, that's bad luck from a Cougars perspective, if that is the call. Did a good job here to shut that move down. It's Parker who gets in. I think he's going to say that it was stripped away and stripped forward by the Keighley man, and looking at the replay, to say he's probably got a point. Matt Lynn, our referee this afternoon. So after a good defensive effort from a Keighley perspective, they're now defending a scrum in the shadow of their own posts.
Yeah, they certainly are. So it'll be interesting to see what attacking play the Knights shape up with here as we see Jay Brown leave to the right late.
It is Brown who brings it into the line, wrapped up by Sal.
Hold.
Keighley just slowing the ruck down a little bit, which is exactly what they want. 8 metres away from their own line. Martin brings York just a few metres away. And here's Thompson, who'll look to just go through the front door, but slammed shut in his face by the Keighley defence. McShane now brings us out to the left to Harris. Here's Ngannou. He chooses to step back on the inside. But perhaps the percentage play there would have been to keep that going through the hands. But York still with tackles in their pocket. Harris up to the line. Still going. Still going. Eventually stopped a couple of metres short. This is the last. Harris has kicked every one of these so far, but he's in the tackles, and that won't happen. But Edwards is across for York. Just a short crash ball from the ruck, and Levi Edwards, who's had a lively start to this game, forces his way over. And from that scrum, we talked about that defensive effort from Keighley, left them with a scrum to defend, and they did a pretty good job for 5 tackles on the set, but Levi Edwards forces his way over.
Absolutely, Lewis. So we see the try here on the replay. It's McShane. He just feints to go right, comes out to his left and just hits Levi Edwards close to the line on a power play, literally a couple of metres from the try line. And Edwards does a good job. He gets low and he gets over the top there of his opposite number, which was pleasing for him. But what I'm admiring at the moment is the patience within the York performance at the moment. You know, it's literally they're happy being playing nice and direct, getting through the sets, finishing in that right corner, and then really front-loading that energy defensively. And it's making it really difficult for Keighley to not only get a good kick away and find grass and get the field position, and they've just slowly just put them under pressure and fallen over the line there with a great try from Edwards.
So Miles Harrison from almost exactly the same spot from where he kicked the first one, steps up again, bends it right to left and straight over. So 2 from 2 for Miles Harrison from the kicking tee. And we spoke about the start of the game, Endo, and just both teams coming into this without that match sharpness of playing competitive fixtures. But from a York perspective, the best way to keep Keighley out of the game is to not give them the football.
Absolutely. Well, like
they've been pretty clean so far.
Yeah, I totally agree, Lewis. Like I said, it's been a real patient performance from York. Yeah, they've come out, they've started fast, they've been very direct, They've kicked well, they've finished in those corners, and they've really front-loaded energy defensively. A simple process. It's been effective for them.
Deeper kick-off this time from Samet, taken by Liam Harris. So York maybe just with an extra 10 metres to have to make up. Thompson met well by Harry Bowes in the Keighley front row. Just feels like Keighley need to try and drag the York middles into a bit more of a firefight, make it a little bit more of a contest in the middle, slow things down a little bit. Rolling upfield. Easier than Jake Webster would like at the moment, and here we go again as they spread from right to left. Stopped on the halfway line.
4, 5.
Again, Keighley will be pleased on this occasion.
It's an error
up
from
until that point, making York kick from deep, and this will be the best platform of the game for the home side.
Well, I was just going to say that, Lewis. I feel like Keighley have needed an error, or they've needed a penalty to get them some field position, because so far we're 15 minutes into the game and York have been totally in control. As we see again, great line speed from the Knights and great tackle control, making it really difficult for Keighley to sort of get their noses through and generate any ruck speed.
So Joe Beja up over halfway, and this is one of the very few times in the opening 15 minutes of this game that we've seen Keighley with ball in hand inside York territory. Farrell plays the ball, and then the offload comes in back to Beja, who is settled about 30 metres away, 25 maybe from the try line. So still tackles in hand, an opportunity to try and work something here, but Farrell will kick early on in the set. It comes off a York player, not played at, says the referee, so this is the last. A few of the home fans around us not happy with that decision, but it comes out to Samet, who puts a high one up into the air, batted back in from Holroyd, and then back again, but this is going to fall to Liam Harris, who was getting himself back into position and just had the ball dropped to him. Managed to get away to Jack Martin, so a better set from a Keighley perspective, but I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with the ending that they came up with.
Yeah, don't disagree with there, Lewis. Didn't throw a lot at the York line there, did they, on that set? But again, they'll be disappointed with that last tackle play option.
There's an interesting aspect to this Keighley back line as well. They'd have gone through all of pre-season doing things a different way, and then you bring a player like Jared Samet into the mix and playing in a slightly unfamiliar position of fullback. A little bit of adjusting for them to do in an attacking sense, but they've got some defending to do here. This is the last. McShane will bring a skinny side. Hingano will just look to drag things in. Edwards gets it away to Harrison, who gets himself into a little bit of cul-de-sac, gets himself out. He's over the line, he's held up. So Keighley survive on that occasion, but you can just see that ball movement that York are willing to put on from pretty much anywhere on the park. They have a huge amount of space to work with on that short side, and good hands from Edwards.
Yeah, well, I think it was the play before Oliver Whitford. He flies in, he tries to kill the play, but he misses Brown, and that's what creates the opportunity.
Right to tackle there.
On the short side next play.
Jordan, you're not square, Jordan!
Walkley in off his wing. Already plenty of work under his belt this afternoon in the yardage sense. So be hoping that he gets an opportunity to show what he could do in an attacking sense as well. He's a very exciting player, Billy Walkley. Real breakout year for him last season in Betfred League One as Holroyd brings us up just short of the halfway line. Farrell avoids a couple of tackles and gives it back to Holroyd, who's up to halfway. Cousins is on for Keighley in place of Dan Parker, so Jake Webster first to go to his bench. Keighley now with the job of just trying to pin York in. There's a player down in backfield.
Time off.
Let's see who it is. It might be Walkley. He's down for Keighley.
I'm not too sure who it is
Real
there.
concern for him when he went down. Hopefully just precautionary. As York also make use of the bench. Brendan Santi coming on for Jack Martin, a player you know well, of course, Endo. Brendan Santi, a former Keighley man.
Yep, he was. He managed to secure his services at York, and he's done a tremendous job for the club since he's been there. He's extended again for this season, which was pleasing to see.
Well, this is concerning for Billy Walkley and Keighley, still down, receiving treatment. So hopefully they are just going through the due diligence of the process to make sure that he is absolutely okay and it is just precautionary.
Keighley probably are pretty happy with this in terms of having a break, not the fact that they're going to lose a potential
No,
player
it's an opportunity to get a breather. Walkley is now sat up, which is an encouraging sign. Just getting a little bit of attention around the neck area. You can see it again. He just gets his head on the hip, doesn't he? Just rocks back a little bit. So I suspect he's going to be sat down for a few minutes here for a head injury assessment. So we'll wait and see whether Billy Walkley comes back into the game. It would be a real loss from a Keighley perspective if he is done for the afternoon. I mentioned him at the beginning of the show about what he offers them in an attacking sense, but he's been really important for the Cougars this afternoon at the other end of the field. A couple of really good defensive involvements and really valuable player getting him out of yardage. It's back underway. McShane brings us out to the left-hand side to Hingano. It's Jesse D who just scuttles along the Keighley defensive line and finds half a hole to just get through. Good speed on the play the ball as well, so York continue this march upfield. Gannon just slowed down there. McShane brings us out to the left-hand side. Hingano puts a spiral and kick up into the air and take it in really well.
Stand up, go on.
But once again, Lewis, you can see where York are turning the ball over inside the Keighley 10 time and time again, and it's just making it really difficult because they've got great line speed here and they're getting good numbers into collisions, making it really difficult for Keighley to get on the front foot and make metres.
Junior Sal just gets his legs pumping and makes some good metres for it. Real valuable carry from the Keighley skipper, and then Larry Bowes has a go from hooker and gets some decent yards as well. So Keighley will be pleased with the way that they got themselves out of their own territory there. The kick goes in. It's an awkward one for Joe Brown at fullback, but he beats the initial tackle on the kick chase.
Well, it's a good set for Keighley that there, Lewis. It's probably I'd say one of their best yardage sets we've seen this afternoon, and they found a kick that found grass and it allowed their kick chase team to get up there and make the tackle inside the 20.
Just feels, doesn't it, that Keighley are starting to get a little bit of a foothold in this game, starting to engage York into more of an arm wrestle.
Hold! Release! On the line! Wait. Go free.
Encouraging signs in that respect as McShane books the ball, looking to bury Keighley deep into their own half, and some effort with the kick, and it could be almost a disaster from a Keighley perspective. The kick came in from McShane. It was Oliver Whitford who's kind of deputising for Billy Walkley on that wing. He managed to get back to it. He was looking to avoid the 40-20 on this shorter playing surface. Well, back as a field of play, but nearly back into danger.
Well, like you said, it was a brave effort from Oliver Whitford. But he just puts his right foot into touch as he dives on the ball there.
Clever enough to just kill it off, isn't he? But it will be York ball 10 metres away from the Keighley line, so the danger hasn't gone away for the Cougars. And from nothing, really, a really clever kick from Paul McShane. All of that experience straight over the top.
Smart kick from McShane.
Saw the space, using the shorter track to his advantage, and he's put his team within striking distance again. Jordan Thompson looks to barrel his way over, stopped a couple of metres short. McShane from the base brings us out to the left-hand side. Good line speed from Keighley, just able to stop that particular move in its tracks, but plenty of shape stacked over to this left edge from York. Hingano, Jesse D runs a lovely line and just strolls through the space to score, and York had been building and building from that kick. And we'll talk about the running line from Jesse D.
Yeah, fantastic line there from Jesse D. Again, it was a great width of pass from McShane to Hingano. And then obviously, I think it's Adam Ryder who's now in the centres. He just shoots ahead of the line. That creates the space on the outside shoulder of Jack Miller, who's defending at 3 in. And we just see here a replay of that great kick from Paul McShane. Fantastic. Good effort from the young Whitford as well to almost save it. But it's put York in a great field position. And like you just see there, Hingano to the line. Nice little short ball to do. He runs a lovely outline on the outside shoulder of Miller with that space created by Ryder, just getting ahead of that line defensively on the outside. Smart decision from Hingano. Great line from D. Wonderful try from York.
I think Hingano's had a fantastic start to this game, opened up the scoring, and he's had some really clever touches in and around the Keighley line. It gets tougher from a Keighley perspective, doesn't it? Because losing Billy Walkley to an HIA, hopefully just for a few minutes, but it's that backline reshuffle, isn't it, that's caused them a couple of problems with having to put a makeshift three-quarter line together, and twice we've seen them catch them out there. Well, there you go, Miles Harrison with his simplest assignment of the afternoon, pushes it to the left-hand side of the stick, so York, their lead stays at 16 points to 0.
And I think, look, Keighley are competing, aren't they? They're certainly competing. They're turning up defensively for one another. I think they defended their goal line a couple of times fairly well, but unfortunately, they just don't quite have the firepower that York have. You know, I think the York middle unit have done a decent job so far going forward, putting a dent. And as you start to see now, they're getting a little bit more impetus going forward off this kick-off set here.
That felt like an important try as well, because we just said before that 40-20 attempts that Keighley was starting to build themselves back into the game, back into the arm wrestle, and all of a sudden it has a very different feel to it. We're only 22 minutes in, but 16 points feels like a steep hill to climb. As York again looking to work themselves into an attacking end of set position. Thompson just doing it the simple way there, getting the ball under his arm and carrying with intent. So Harris will opt against the kick, and they'll look to try and spread it out to the right-hand side. Couldn't quite find the space. Joe Law and Keighley shut them down, but again, look at where they're turning the ball over, buried into that corner.
Absolutely, Lewis. Again, it's another great set after points. They've rolled down 90 metres down that field. It's not the worst option to run it. You know, Harris saw that the winger was stepped back off the line, decides to go wide to Buchanan, who tips onto Law and gets tackled in the air. But as you said there, Lewis turns the ball over in the corner inside the 10. And as you can see now, life is difficult for the Cougars coming out their own end as the York Knights, that black wall is just getting up and swarming them.
Charlie Mackler onto the field for Keighley on
good D
registration terms from Warrington Wolves, and yeah, good defensive effort there. 3 men in, stopping them in their tracks. Bowles gets Keighley back on the front foot though, and then a penalty as well. So here's an opportunity for the Cougars to get themselves a field position.
It's the first penalty of the game, that, Lewis.
Yeah, 25 minutes in, 24.5 minutes in. Got a rest side for Jared Samet. Well, that's a coach killer, isn't it?
Oh,
that's criminal.
That is a coach killer. Trust me.
Do all that work, get the first penalty of the afternoon, and then doesn't find touch. Paul McShane just having a sit down. Really busy, industrious first 25 minutes in a York shirt from him, as we just see that high shot again that led to the penalty, but Keighley unable to get any benefit out of it because of the missed touch from Jared Samet. So York again with real attacking opportunities to put more points on the board. Harris brings us out to the left-hand side.
Fitzsimmons!
Crash ball. Fitzsimmons could be over. It's a really good recovery.
6 again.
Jared Samet actually made the tackle, but it is 6 again, so a whole new set into their pocket for York. Joe Law tries to crash his way over on that right-hand side. Keighley, big set, big defensive set for the Cougars. If they could keep York out here, they'll take real encouragement from this, but that will be easier said than done as we come out to the left-hand side. D finds Brown. Brown chops back in. There was half a gap there. He couldn't quite find it. Here's Hingano crabbing along the defensive line.
Oh, good really tackle on the inside there. Had to be
effort.
made. Had to be made.
Charlie McLarew made that tackle.
Cook
could be in for York. Referee's having a look at it, held up. So Keighley survive another flurry of punches from this York Knights line. Still a couple more to come. And now Fitzsimmons again. It could be straight through here. That could be a very simple way of scoring. It is. Liam Harris cuts through the line. Felt like everyone, myself included, was waiting for that pass. It didn't come. He kept the ball in hand. And one of the simpler tries he'll score in his career.
Well, you called it, Lewis. There's been a flurry of punches being thrown by the York Knights team there, asking a lot of questions on that defensive line of the Cougars. And you've got to give some credit to Keighley. They were turning up, covering on the inside, having to make some last-ditch tackles. But obviously the weight of possession and the field position just pays dividends in the end. And Harris, great with the pass there. Cook to Harris. He's on the outside of four-man. It allows him to get in between bodies. And he uses great strength here, Liam Harris, to power over. The big show and go. It was 3 in attendance there, Lewis. We had some work to do to finish that try. But again, it's that width of pass from Cook, right on the money. Harris fast over the ad line. He gets in between those bodies and scores a wonderful try to extend the lead further for the York Knights.
Yeah, I've done him a bit of a disservice there, Liam Harris. Not one of the easier tries he'll ever score. From our vantage point, it looked as if he'd slipped through, but actually did a huge amount of work to see off those three defenders. Brendan Sancy now is onto the field of play. Looks like they've had a bit of swapping around with the shirt numbers. So it was Connor Fitzsimmons who came on a little bit earlier and actually made a couple of really important involvements in that set that led up to the try. So Harrison with his first kick from the other side in front of really strong travelling York contingent. It's a decent strike again. Is it on target? It is. The flags go up. So York push their lead out further, strengthen their grip on this game with 28 minutes played. They're into a 22 points to nil lead. And already it feels like a long way back from a Keighley perspective, but in some respects, Hendo, they've been masters of their own downfall. Not making touch from that penalty has led to that score.
Yeah, and again, when you're a team that's, from the lower divisions, you need to be clinical in these games. You can't afford to give up cheap possession.
A risky ball. Wow. I'm not entirely sure who that was intended for. Izata Hingano has picked it up. A bit of a dam-buster pass, bouncing along the ground. Not one that Hingano will be grateful for, as Santi now makes his first involvement of the afternoon. But Keighley maybe just sensing an opportunity to try and pin York into their own territory for a rare occasion in this half. Thompson, who's been really busy in the opening half hour of this game for York. We'll just see it again. It's Harris who throws the pass across. I'm still not sure who the intended recipient to that ball from Liam Harris was.
They were obviously trying to move the point of attack there, Lewis, but it just didn't come off.
So Santi up over halfway. Stopped in his tracks, and this is the last, so York will be kicking from pretty much on the halfway line. Hingano puts a high one up into the air for Whitford to deal with,
Great
which
catch.
he does.
It's a great catch from Whitford there, Lewis.
Yeah, he does well, brings it down, doesn't he, and then
does.
Pulls his body around the other side of the ball so that protects it from those York defenders. And now Farrell looking to try and engineer something.
It's a familiar picture, isn't it, Lewis?
We've been looking to our left-hand side, haven't we, a lot?
Coming out of their own 10. That's a great carry from Junior South.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times, hasn't he, in this first half? Just done the job himself from acting half. George Flanagan Senior onto the field as well for Keighley.
It's good defensive from the Knights as they drive Whitford back. It's D and Edwards. Great initial contact made by Hingano.
Kick goes in from Miller, and it takes an awkward bounce. It is eventually dealt with by Brown, who then manages to evade a couple of defenders. He is brought down just short of the halfway line. just looking to our right-hand side. Billy Walkley's back out of the changing rooms. He's stood in the technical area. Haven't had any indication as to whether he's coming back onto the field of play, but he isn't wearing a coat or a jacket or anything, and he's going through some paces in the warm-up, so that is an encouraging sign from a Keighley perspective.
Come on, Brendan. 4. Move now. Back to me, hold.
York
Hold. Go 4.
with options on both sides of the ball as Cook brings us out to the right-hand side to Harris. Harris has got 2 players out to his right. He went for the long ball across Oliver Field to try and find Joe Law, but Keighley hand in there just to disrupt things and to keep York at bay for the time being. And this will be encouraging as we just see that again. Harris puts that ball across. It's Field who, they go through the hands. Field looks to put it across for Law in the corner, but here is a positive sign for Keighley. Billy Walkley is coming back onto the field. He has passed his HIA by the looks of it, so one of their real attacking weapons back into the fray on the other side of the ball. York with their own injury concerns.
Yeah, Joe Law doesn't look too clever over that far side, does he? He's gone down. He's got the physio.
He was absolutely smashed into touch, wasn't he, by the covering Keighley defence. Looks like he's come off worse for wear for it.
Time's off, George.
Both teams will take a bit of respite now at the moment, won't they, Lewis? So about 8 minutes to go till half-time. It's Joe Law who's currently down. Billy Walkley, as you said, ready to come back onto the field after this scrum has been completed. I think he's all right, the young fella.
Yeah, back on good to his feet. Joe Law, much to the delight. Positive cheers from that York contingent on that far side.
Heads in. Sam, head in. Jesse.
And we've seen this
Line up properly, let's go.
quite a few times already this afternoon. York with an
Time on.
opportunity to just try and pin Keighley into their own half.
Wait.
It's a Cougar scrum as Flanagan Senior brings us out to the right-hand side, and he might just be the kind of player that Keighley need in this scenario. A little bit of experience, but a bit of aggression as well to try and just disrupt things from a York perspective.
A bit of niggle as well.
Maybe just being a little bit too easy for the Knights at times. Sam brings us out to the right-hand side, so maybe he is the kind of player that could just disrupt as Walkley stopped in his tracks by Miles Harrison. But Keighley, first time we've seen them really spread the play in their own territory and look to find an edge and try and catch York on the outside. Miller now puts the kick in, looks to try and split the back three, and it does take a bounce before Joe Law is able to bring it in, and he'll come up towards the 40-metre line.
I've got to say, I've been impressed with York's defensive prowess this afternoon, Lewis.
Yeah, they look really well organised,
They
don't
do,
they?
you know, defensively getting really good line speed and getting numbers into collisions and managing that contact area really, really well.
Too slow, hands on the rope.
So we go back to 0. Just too much going on in the ruck for Maddie Lynn's liking, the referee. So York again with the opportunity to try and extend this lead before half-time. Hingano out to Harris. Harris steps back on the inside, finds the space, could be in for his second. And if his first was all about industry and muscle, his second is all about skill and a moment of brilliance from the York halfback.
Yeah, lovely play from the Knights. Nice bit of width play. Hingano linking up with Harris, and then Harris obviously spotting the opportunity and finishing it really, really well. And we'll see it here now in the replay, but fantastic play here from the Knights. Hingano goes across the line. Not much pressure on him, gives an early ball there to Harris, comes off the right foot, beats that sliding defence on the inside shoulders. Not sure who it is that he beats, but
Let's just have a look at the step. It's
Isaac Farrell and Ryder just going across their sliding hips to sideline, so they're vulnerable back on their inside shoulders. And Liam Harris, he's a smart player. He exploits that really, really well and finishes his try close to the post. So should be able to see Miles Harrison add the extra 2 here, I think. But nice play from Liam Harris.
You would think for Miles Harrison, a kicker of his quality, that this would be bread and butter, but We've put the curses on people before, Hendo. Not this time. Straight over. So York into a commanding lead as we approach half-time. 28 points to 0. Keighley. Well, it's going to be a big team talk, isn't it, for Jake Webster to try and get his team back up for the second half, as we see just that other angle of that Liam Harris sidestep. Santa gets us back underway, and again that kick-off out to the left-hand side. Brendan Sansi underneath it, brings us forward, plays the ball, and Cook brings us out to the left. Ngannou now.
Great carry there from Connor Fitzsimmons. Good leg drive, good post-contact meters from him as well, the front rower.
And then a penalty as well, so
well done.
Again, Keighley just doing a little bit too much to try and disrupt the Knights. A wry smile from Jack Miller. He was trying to just slow things down. So Edwards taps, thinks about the pass, takes it himself, straight into the tackle of Miller, who hanging on to Levi Edwards, still trying to get his legs moving. Eventually he is held, so Jesse D will be at acting half. He'll bring us out to the right-hand side. After Ngannou, out to Harris. On a hat-trick now, of course. Santi looks to crash through a couple of defenders. All the shapers to the left-hand side, that's the way they come. Oh, and Ngannou just looked like he was carrying that ball with his fingertips and leaves it behind. So on that occasion, York unable to make Keighley pay. They've been pretty clinical and everything up until that, but Ngannou, he just never had it, did he? Just didn't bring it in cleanly.
I think he was just caught a little bit in two minds whether he was going to run himself or make the pass.
But again, look where they're starting from.
Yeah, it's not the worst place to turn the ball over, is
no,
it?
from a Keighley perspective, looking up and seeing the full field in front of you.
And that has been, hasn't it? That has been the picture pretty much all afternoon, hasn't it? The York finish their sets in this area, Keighley start their sets in this area. So, yeah, they've had it tough this afternoon for the Cougars.
Farrell out to Sal. Sal looking to try and punch his way through that York defensive line and make some decent progress as Ryder, next cab off the rank for Keighley, brings them another 10 metres upfield. Flanagan Senior just rides a couple of tackles, perhaps looking for an offside penalty, but loses control of the ball. So York in possession. We're going to come back, I think, for a scrum. Just going to see which way the referee points, because that was all a little bit messy.
I think it's York.
It's going to be a York ball.
Yeah. Flanagan just loses possession on the...
Well, he did the right thing. He noticed that there were York defenders tracking back, and he tried to get at them, but you've got to do the basics as well, haven't you?
Yeah, he saw that the markers weren't square, and he saw an opportunity to get into some space and get some metres for his team, but unfortunately in the process, as he spun out of the collision, he loses possession, and York will now enjoy good field position once again, and a further opportunity to post points before half-time as Harris.
So Harris brings it up into the line, and another penalty, and interested to see what York do here. They're going to keep things rolling.
I'd keep rolling.
There's no reason not to, is there, at this point? A couple of minutes left in the half. And as you say, an opportunity to dig Keighley into an even deeper hole before the break. So Edwards gives it to Ngannou. Ngannou to Fitzsimmons, who will play the ball at 11 metres away from the Keighley line. It's another 6 again early on in the set this time. Ngannou rides a couple of tackles, still going, looking for an offload, which he does eventually find. Here's D, brings us back out to the right-hand side. Could be space for York over on that edge, but Keighley scrambled defence just does enough.
6 again, too slow.
And another 6 again, so Keighley really hurting themselves in the ruck area.
Space on this left here as well, isn't there?
Plenty of time for York still to go through this full set if they need it. They might not. Ngannou to DD with a little flick offload out the back. Could be space for Harrison, but Walkley does well just to get across. And good desperate defence from Keighley. D will just try the Route 1 approach on this occasion, and he's over. And after all of the left to right trying to unpick the lock, Jesse D decides that the best route is straight over the top, and York are in again.
Yep. And again, that's probably a result of sheer weight of possession, field position, and perseverance. We see the Knights asking a lot of questions again on this attacking set. They challenge both the right side, then the left side. Bit of a clunky piece of play there. Ball goes to ground. D picks up, offloads to Hingano. He finds Harrison. He cuts back in on his left foot, gets tackled. And the result, play the ball. Again, it's just a simple power play close to the line. D carries with hard punch, gets low, scores the try.
So there goes the hooter. Harrison will just do the job of attempting this conversion before they head into the sheds, but York will be in a very, very commanding position at the break, and based on all of the traffic in the first 40 minutes of this game, it's difficult to see how Keighley are going to build themselves back in the second half. Harrison strokes that kick over, so there we go. 40 minutes in the book in the Betfred Challenge Cup second round. And it would be a very, very brave man who bets against York going through to the third round to play OKR, Hendo.
Yeah, no, I think coming into this game, it was always going to be a tough ask for the Keighley Cougars. Coming up against a pretty strong York side today, and I think we have to be honest, the middle unit for York have been pretty good. You know, they've rotated well, they've all done their job, carried nice and direct. The halves have orchestrated things really well on the edges there, Hingano and Harris. And I just think it's been the fact that, for me, the patience in the York performance. They've just played nice and direct, been patient, finished in those corners, and then they've really, really front-loaded their energy defensively and made life really difficult for the Keighley Cougars to get out of their own half. And they've enjoyed a lot of field position, a lot of possession, and a lot of opportunities to score points. And credit to the Knights, they've earned that, and they've also posted the points with some wonderful tries as well.
So there's a tale of the tape. 40 minutes in, Hingano opened the scoring. It was a long time ago now, that. Levi Edwards crossing as well, and then 2 for Jesse D, 2 for Liam Harris. And Miles Harrison almost perfect with the boot, putting 5 out of 6 over. Just to remind ourselves of how that unfolded. I mean, Hingano just sends Samet the wrong way, doesn't he? A little bit of misdirection.
Yeah,
Bad defensive read from the fullback, and Hingano strolls over.
Yeah, he does there, Lewis. It was the play before the defender came in. They couldn't get the numbers around the corner, and Hingano exploits the short side. Then this one here, again, just a power play close to the line. McShane just finds Levi Edwards, who's able to just power over his opposite number there. Samet gets over for another try. And then this one here, Lewis, out the back, nice width of pass to Hingano. It's that width of pass from McShane to Hingano, cuts out 3 defenders, and then Miller, Ryder, they're in all sorts. Ryder gets ahead of the line, D sees that, he gets on the outline, and Hingano finds the pass. Short side here, Harris took a bit of work this try to score, Lewis, I felt. You know what I mean? I thought, you know, again, Harris takes the ball, he sees that Farrell's just rocking out slightly, so he takes him on his inside shoulder, but he does ever so well with 3 in attendance to score that try. Further extend the Knights' lead further.
This is the highlight of the half for me. Liam Harris, this try, that step back on the inside, really clever play, brilliant footwork. And
yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely, Lewis. Lovely to see both halfbacks linking up there. Hingano coming across, finds Harris, and the smarts from Liam Harris. He sees that both Ryder and Farrell, hips are going to sidelines, so there's the opportunity to beat him on an inside shoulder. That's why he comes off the right foot. And then this try just before half time, again, sheer weight of possession and perseverance, knocking on the door, and then Jesse D, close to the line, just says, give me the ball, I'll use my brute strength, power over, get low and score.
So we have it, York in complete control at the break here in Keighley, a 34-0 advantage Mark Applegarth's side, and as we've said, it is a long way back for Keighley, but a big half-time for Jake Webster to try and inspire some life into this Cougars side. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back very, very shortly with the second half here from Cougar Park.
Magic weekend.
6 games over 2 days.
A terrific atmosphere building here.
He's going to score! Breakaway try! Absolutely superb stuff. But he's not going to be stopped. It's a try. Wow!
And a fantastic finish under real pressure. magic weekend.
6 games over 2 days.
A terrific atmosphere building here.
That was special play from a special player. What a try! He's going to score! Breakaway try! Absolutely superb stuff. But he's not going to be stopped. It's a try. Wow!
And a fantastic finish under real pressure.
What a special atmosphere for one of the great occasions of any rugby league season. He's got the strength, he's got the speed. Drenched, dazzling in this wonderful, most famous and historic of competitions.
No smoking or vaping in the ground. If you smoke or vape, go to the bottom corner by the bottom gates. The use of foul and abusive language, obscene chanting, or any type of verbal abuse towards any person.
Well, welcome back to Cougar Park. We approach the second half of this Betfred Challenge Cup second round tie between Keighley Cougars and the York Knights. It is York in complete control at the break, 34 points to nil they lead. A long way back for Keighley Cougars in this game. Just whilst we wait for the two teams to come back out. In fact, here they come, kind of short. Loads coming up on this channel. 2 live games next weekend. The winner of this will play Hull KR live on the Sportsman Rugby League. On Friday night, we've got Halifax against Catalan Dragons on Saturday lunchtime. Wednesday evening, we've got our Betfred Super League season preview to look forward to, and then in a few weeks' time, it's the big one. We're off to Vegas, Rugby League in Nevada. Can't wait for that. But right here, right now, Andrew Henderson. It's hard to see a way in which this game doesn't end in York going through to the next round, but what will Keighley be trying to do in this opening 10 minutes?
Oh, look, I think for me, damage limitation, Lewis. I think they're just going to have to make sure that they obviously can not only control the ball, but to be fair, I think the ball control from both teams across the game has been excellent, to be honest. Hasn't been a lot of errors, has there? Or a lot of penalties conceded. But the thing for Keighley is they've just got to find a way to be able to make more metres, so they need a little bit of They've got to get that kicking game to find space and find grass, and yeah, but you've got to credit York defensively. They've been really, really solid.
So back underway, Liam Harris boots the ball, and we are up and running in the second half here at Cougar Park. York Knights 40 minutes away from a date with Hull KR next Friday. Keighley, as you say, Endo, just looking to, first things first, restore a little bit of pride, you think, after a disappointing first 40 competitive minutes of the season for them. I have to say, they weren't really allowed anything else. York suffocating.
Good carry. It's a bit better from the Cougars.
Yeah, front foot carry. Leo Aliu onto the field. Another Leeds Academy product into the Keighley squad. So straight away, Keighley probably kicking from as good a position as they've had all game.
Surrender!
Joe Law, safe as houses under that high ball, just drifts underneath it and brings it in. So York starting this set from their own goal line, but Keighley can take some encouragement from that opening exchange of the second half. They have got the slope in their favour, of course, now, and we're a little bit sheltered in this stand, but when you look at the flags on that far side, Hendo, it suggests that there is a bit of a wind that perhaps was blowing in favour of the team going from left to right on your screens, but that is in favour of York Knights, and that is a penalty.
Yeah, disappointing that, Lewis, from the Keighley perspective. I thought they had a really good set. You know, they finally broke the line and they got to an end of set where they finished inside York's 10 and restricted them those first couple of plays, but then a penalty given away on play 3 just relieves that pressure, and it now allows York to get back on the impetus and the go forward into attacking territory as Levi Edwards carries off the tap play.
So here's Ngannou, plenty of shape to his right-hand side. Harris now brings it in for Connor Fitzsimmons, who's stopped eventually about 30 metres away. They'll go to the right-hand side again. Harris brings us up to the line. Holyfield stopped 15 metres short. Plenty of space to play with on this left-hand side, but Jordan Thompson just keeps the ball in hand for the time being and looks to muscle his way over. Eventually stopped just a couple of metres away, but York building again. Here goes Fitzsimmons, crashes through. And York have the first points of the second half, picking up as they left off. Connor Fitzsimmons straight through the front door. 4 more points for the Knights.
Yeah, well, I said it was going to be damage limitation for the Cougars, and they certainly haven't started the second half as well as they'd like to. They certainly did on their first attacking set, turning the ball over inside York's 10 metres, but off the resulting penalty, that's gifted York the field position. This is a wonderful carry from Jordan Thompson, as we see on the replay here. Gets in between bodies, almost scores. Great scramble defence from the Cougars. Salmon at the back. But then the
misdirection, isn't it? Santi goes one way, Fitzsimmons comes underneath.
That's right. That little change of angle play near the line there. Nice subtleties there from Santi and Fitzsimmons, and Cook with a nice way to pass. He pops it up to Fitzsimmons, who, to be fair, I think Fitzsimmons has been impressive off the bench today, Lewis.
Follows a pattern, though, doesn't it, from the first half, when Keighley have done things well and have had encouraging sets, got themselves into good positions. They've followed that up with an error or a penalty in that case and dug themselves back into the hole, and York have been very, very clinical in and around that kind of good ball area, that 10-yard area of the field. Now Miles Harrison has an opportunity to add to his tally for the afternoon. It's another really good strike. The flags go up. York's lead moves into the 40-point range. I'm sure Jake Webster off that first set, the way that his team just went a little bit more direct and got themselves on the front foot, was perhaps feeling that they could turn the tide a little bit in the early exchanges of this second half. But as we say, that penalty, just another coach killer, really. And we just haven't been able to see Keighley at all in any kind of attacking shape or territory so far in this game. We spoke about Jared Samet pre-match and what he might be able to do, but I don't think we've said his name in an attacking sense yet. He just hasn't had the platform, and York have suffocated them out of the game, haven't they? So here come the Knights again. I'm sure the important thing from Mark Applebaum's perspective now will be that they stay at this level, continue to do all of the things that they've been doing well, as Thompson makes another really good carry, but the ball has gone forward. I think he might just feel that maybe there was a hand in there helping that ball out, but let's see it again. Here it comes on the carry. It's Flanagan who just gets... No, it's just that's all fine, isn't it? It's Flanagan that gets to him first, and then Leo Aliu just manages to get to his ball carrying arm and force the error. So the scrum will be on halfway. Keighley's best starting point of an attacking set, perhaps all game. Flanagan brings us out to the left. Jared Samet comes out with the error straight away, and York could be away. No, Harris is reeled in. Junior Sal ploughs through him. Now Kieran Buchanan to try and shrug off a couple of defenders, eventually brought down, and well, Joe Webster will be pretty fuming, won't he?
He will
with some of the indiscipline and the mistakes that Keighley have come up with this afternoon.
He's had a couple there, Salmon, hasn't he? Failed to find touch with the kick to touch, and he's come up with an error there.
And now York could be away on the left-hand side. Jesse D goes through, hunting his hat-trick, eventually hauled down a few metres away, but York on the front foot again, sniffing more points. Here's Hingano, just crabs along the line, finds Santi. Santi could be through, and he does score. Just gets free of the tackle of Isaac Farrell. Unable to wrap him up, and he gets that long arm out and touches down. And again, a Keighley error leads to York points.
Yep, you're not wrong there, Lewis. Once again, the Cougars putting themselves under pressure. Samet with the unforced error off the scrum. Again, gives York the field position and possession, and as a result, a few plays later, as we see here's the error off the scrum there from Samet. Again, unforced, no pressure on him. And now, off the result of that, Hingano skimming across the line, left-hand fend, finds Sandy, who times his run well, gets in between bodies, finds some space and gets kind of knocked down, doesn't he? But just keeps the ball carrying arm up and manages to reach over and score and further extend misery and heap misery on this Cougars team tonight.
And there's been a lot of York players so far in this game who have impressed and put in strong performances. I think Ata Hingano's right at the top of that list. He's had some really good attacking involvements. There's another one coming off the field, Jordan Thompson, who has made some real devastating carries through the middle of that Keighley defence. Jack Teamby, the man replacing him, so Keighley will be hoping that means some level of respite, but what a useful interchange to roll on, isn't he, Jack Teamby?
Well, I think Mark Applegarth now will be able to think about, they've got a game in 5 days' time, haven't they, against Hull Kingston Rovers, and it's they'll probably be looking after a few bodies now, you know what I mean, and making sure like Tomo's fresh for Friday and a few others, so don't be surprised if a few guys start to come off in the second half and not to return, to be looked after for backing up on it in 5 days' time.
Be a rematch, of course, or should be a rematch, of course, barring the mother of all comebacks this afternoon of the Amsterdam Challenge. York coming out on top on that occasion in the Dutch capital. A little bit closer to home this time around when OKR come to town on Friday night, live and exclusive on the Sportsman. Make sure you join us for that one. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Loads coming up on this channel over the next days and weeks. Loads already going on, of course. Season previews of every Betfred Super League club going up, and then we've got our big preview show from the season launch on Wednesday night, so loads to get stuck into if you're a rugby league fan. Fitzsimmons, another really good carry from him. He's made a real impact, hasn't he, off the bench? And we mentioned that players are still very much playing for jerseys and playing for places in the side ahead of the new season. He's done himself no harm at all.
Unfortunately, the Knights have come up with a knock on there. They attempted to go down that short side. I think they saw an opportunity to create a 3v2 and just see there on the replay, it's D.
It's a forward pass, isn't it, I think?
Forward to Edwards.
Oh, and then it comes forward. Take your pick there. Forward pass or the knock on.
I think the vision was right, the idea was right, seeing the opportunity on the short side, just that execution lets them down. Very much the Cougars feel relieved after that one, Lewis.
So another scrum in a decent position. Last time they had one of these, they knocked on straight from the base. So that is an improvement as they come up to halfway. Sal forced backwards, though, by Field and Buchanan. The referee wipes the tackle count, but right at the beginning of the set. So one of those where perhaps don't get full advantage from the infringement. Briefly, what can they do with ball in hand inside the York half for the first time in a long time in this game? Bowes brings us out to the right, Farrell up to the line, and Neo Liu crashes in. He's made some positive contributions since coming into the game as Parker now looks to ramp it in. Sal from acting half out to Farrell. Farrell brings us out to the right-hand side. Here's Miller trying to get away from the tackle of Hingano, but he's wrapped up, so this is the last, and most of the Keighley line is running backwards to get into position, so not an ideal end of set. Fitzsimmons a little bit late on Farrell. Kick pressure, as you say, Endo was good, but
I'm not sure.
He said the kick was away, so this is golden opportunity for Keighley to get on the ball, because of course the penalty will be taken from where it landed. Oh, it's marginal. It's really close.
I think he's timed it quite well. I think what's let him down is he hasn't wrapped his arms around. If he keeps his arms wrapped around Lewis, I think he's okay there. It's the fact that he hits and almost releases, and that's what makes it look worse than it is.
So Aliu ramps in, met by 3 York defenders, and even with the margin as it is, you just feel it go up a decibel or two here at Cougar Park. The first real chance we've seen for Keighley to have a go at this York try line. Flanagan wrapped up a few metres away. Bowes will bring us out to the right-hand side. Farrell brings it up to the line, looks to pass, checks back in, keeps hold, tries to wriggle his way through that York line, but he's stopped. No real progress from that carry. Bowes again brings us out to the right. Miller looks for a ball over the top, but the line speed from York is really good to get out to the Keighley halfback. Misdirection from Bowes, shapes left and then comes to the right, gets the offload away to Samet. Samet finds Flanagan. Flanagan will keep ball in hand and try and muscle his way through himself. This is the last. Keighley with options on both sides of the ball. They go to the skinny side. In fact, Bowes keeps it in hand and tries to go himself. The ball's come loose. Miller's over and he's scored. Referee judging that it came backwards out of the grasp of Bowes.
I think it's a little bit fortuitous, this one here, Lewis. I think Bowes actually goes the wrong way. I thought York had plenty of numbers on that left-hand side, but we'll see it on the replay in a moment and find out how it unfolds. But it's Bowes out of dummy half here.
See it again. Flanagan plays the ball. Bowes shapes the pass, takes it himself. As you say, oh, it's torn away, isn't it? It's Santi who rips at it. It comes forward from the rip, and Miller on hand to just dot down, and Keighley do get points on the board in this Betfred Challenge Cup second round tie.
Well, it's certainly been a long time coming that for Keighley. They've had no field position, have they? Not really any opportunity. They finally get an opportunity to ask a few questions. I thought York's goal line defence was pretty good there, really restricted them, and it's took a bit of a ball steal error for them to get across the line.
So Miller converts his own try. You see it again from the other angle. Santi ripped the ball away. Miller on the spot to pick up and dot down. Keighley's first real crack at the York line does lead to points.
Stay outside here, guys. Keep working hard. Well done. Levi, time you run.
Maybe just a little bit of complacency is the word, but a few things drifting into York's game that they perhaps weren't doing in the first half that just allowed Keighley into that position. That penalty as well, giving the Cougars the platform.
It's great line speed.
Yeah, Field leading the line there. And Sal, another strong carry from him. Glittering Super League career, of course, with Salford, briefly Wakefield, Lee. Now, he's found a real home here at Cougar Park via a spell in Rugby Union, playing in the States. Now Liu takes a short ball. This is the last. Keighley again kicking from inside their own real estate. Miller puts the ball high up into the air, spiralling around, but taken cleanly.
He's been solid at the back today, Joe Brown, hasn't he, Lewis? He's diffused pretty much anything that's come his way this afternoon. He's done a decent job deputising at fullback, which he had to do on many occasions when I was looking after the team. Bless him. He's a winger by trade, but does a solid job at fullback, this Joe Brown.
Yeah, real versatility, isn't there? Throughout this side, players able to step into different positions.
George, you're not square, George!
Santi now.
Whoa, look out.
And that is a high shot.
It is.
Santi taken high. And it'll be interesting to see what decision the referee makes here beyond the penalty. Santi, thankfully, is straight back up to his feet as we see it again.
It's direct contact with the head, isn't
Bowes, isn't it? It's just, it rides up. I think it's one of those that bounces off the shoulder a little bit and comes up.
He is slipping.
Like you say, it is contact with the head, so the referee may feel that he is within his rights to sit him down for 10 minutes, and that is
I thought that'd be the call.
what he does.
Yeah, that is the call. And it's direct contact with the head.
Harry Bowes, after engineering a try just a couple of minutes ago, he's now sat down for 10 minutes for that high shot on Brendan Santi, we'll see it again. He comes in. Santi, it's almost a slanted run, isn't it, from the York prop? He slightly comes in at a low angle. It's one of those that bounces up. But it is contact with the head, and that is the rule.
He can't complain. Harry Bowes there. He cannot complain. It's not hit him and bounce. He's hit him across the chops. End of story. It's a yellow. In this day and age, it's a yellow.
So York a man up and an opportunity to put more points on the board and extend this lead back out. And Edwards shrugs off one tackle. Runs into 3 more Keighley defenders. He'll settle pretty much dead centre. So York now come out to the right-hand side. Jack Teamby, his first real meaningful carry since coming off the bench. Harris and Garno back inside to Fitzsimmons. Sam Cook at dummy half brings us out to the right-hand side. Harris puts a bobbling kick through. Holroyd does really well. Brad Holroyd wrapped that ball up and diffused the danger there.
I was surprised at that kick option there. Early in the tackle count, the winger was slightly stepped back off the line. Not sure what Liam saw there behind the line, but the Cougars survived, much to their delight.
But a big job again to try and dig themselves out of their own line. Holroyd shrugs off a couple of defenders there to get himself away. Now Farrell from acting half makes 10 metres for his team, and perhaps we've needed to see a little bit more of that kind of directness from Keighley at times this afternoon. They've had a little bit of joy in and around the ruck. Paul McShane in front of us, ready to come back onto the field of play for York. And it looks like Santu's coming off, so a bit of a reshuffle here, and then another penalty. Just too much rotation in that tackle. I think a little bit of frustration now creeping in for Keighley. We'll see it again, it's Law. Yeah, there's 3 men in, and they just take him the wrong side of the horizontal, don't they?
That's right, Lewis.
Not sure there's a huge amount of malice in that
Not
one.
huge, no.
It's just a slightly scruffy attempt, isn't it? A 3-man tackle.
That's right. For our viewers at home, once those legs go above the horizontal, then it's classed as dangerous, and that's what the result was. A penalty to York.
So can't afford he was away, but there's a second ball come onto the field, so we will just come back to do that again. York bring us out to the left. Fitzsimmons, really industrious stint from him. Either side of half-time. McShane back onto the field of play, brings us out to Hingano. Hingano brings Joe Brown into the line, who finds Miles Harrison in space, and Edwards then put away on the right-hand side on the inside, but stopped by Keighley. York again with golden opportunity, and Teamby will just try and smash his way over, and does.
Well, the energy levels from Cougars have been sapped, and that's just another try we've seen today from York, close to the try line.
Yeah, we've seen a few, haven't we, of those just short
ball
power going over the top.
Yeah. It's big Jack Teamby on this occasion, Lewis. As we see a nice sweep and move to the left there, Hingano out to Brown, who evades a would-be tackler. Miles Harrison does a good job back on the inside to Edwards, who gets stopped just short of the line there, and of the result next play the ball. It's Jack Teamby who gets nice and low. You notice his body position, that nice forward lean, low. He knows where the try line is. He gets underneath the Cougars defenders and powers over, using his strength and power to score. And once again, the Cougars will be disappointed with that try line defence. Once again, York just powering over, nice and direct. That sheer weight of field position and possession just takes its toll eventually, Lewis, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been a difficult afternoon. There is a player down for Keighley on the try line, which is the delay. Struggle to see from our vantage point exactly who it is. There is some concern for the Keighley man. So York bring 50 up, and they've been good value for it, haven't they? They've put a really polished performance in. We spoke before the game about how these games can be tricky sometimes for the team that's from the higher level, and
Absolutely.
how it can. We've seen so often, haven't we, in the Betfred Challenge Cup, shocks, surprise results, teams punching above their weight, especially early on in the season when they've not played much competitive football. But this from York has been a really, really positive display.
Yeah, well, what I admire this afternoon from the York's performance is the professionalism that they've showed, the patience that they've showed in the performance. They haven't tried to overplay. They haven't disrespected the opposition. They've been content to play nice and direct, go through their poses, get off the back of a good kicking game, and then really back their defensive efforts to earn them some field position and opportunity. And then once they've had that field position, they've really capitalised, haven't they? I think on the last parts have been clinical this afternoon with their execution and their decision-making, Lewis. So overall, you know, I think Coach Applegarth will be really, really pleased with this performance, a very professional and patient one.
Well, things go from bad to worse from a Keighley perspective. Billy Walkley off for the second time this afternoon for his second HIA. He's not failed it, but because of the rules, he can't return.
Bournemouth, it's a head clash there on the try line.
Team B, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just nothing in it.
Flanagan clashes with his own teammate, to
Friendly
be fair.
fire, isn't it? So we could be in for a bit of a first. There is the option for Keighley to bring in the 18th man.
I think it
Due
is.
to the HIAs.
Bobby Hartley's the 18th man for Keighley this afternoon, so he looks like he's going to have to be used.
Joe Bajer is coming on. No sign of Hartley
Bajer,
yet.
no,
Whether
no.
they opt to use him or not, I suppose, is a different thing, but a real tough afternoon for the Cougars. Miles Harrison with the opportunity to improve on his excellent afternoon with the boot. This looks right in his wheelhouse in terms of where he's been kicking them from this afternoon, and he makes no mistakes. So 52 points up for the York Knights against the Keighley Cougars. Hasn't really exploded, has it, into one of those cup classics that we'd hoped for, but you can't take anything away from this York Knights performance. They've been very, very polished, and they will go into Friday night with the dreams of causing a Challenge Cup upset against the beaten Betfred Super League Grand Finalist Hull KR. That'll be a fantastic night at the LER, won't it? I'm sure there'll be plenty of travelling Hull KR fans.
Oh, it should make for a great atmosphere on Friday night, Lewis.
A growing fan base, a growing club, as you know all too well, Hendo, at the York Knights. A real opportunity for them to show off their credentials as they're away again on the left-hand side, with Levi Edwards making really good headway. Brings us up towards the halfway line where he'll play the ball to McShane. McShane out to Hingano. Harris brings it up to the line and brings Brown into play. Buchanan taken down by Farrell and Sal. McShane, Harris, Fitzsimmons, brought down by three Keighley defenders. Options on both sides of the ruck for McShane. He shapes right but comes left. Hingano looks for a ball over the top of Miles Harrison, who could be away on the left-hand side. What a finish this could be from Miles Harrison. He pulls out the acrobatics to score in the corner, and after building up a very healthy points tally with the boot, that is a fantastic try on the left-hand side to add to his account for the afternoon.
Yeah, wonderful try from Miles Harrison, scoring in the corner. But again, it's the link-up play here from Cook, playing as a ball-playing middle there, out the back to Hingano. He shows to play back on the inside. Then he sees there's an opportunity with space on the outside to go the ball over the top. He sees Whitford comes inside there, and leaves his winger exposed. And Hingano's able to find that pass. It's a great pass selection from Hingano, the way to pass as well to Miles Harrison.
Took some finishing as well from Harrison, because Samet was getting across to close down the space. He's given himself probably his trickiest conversion attempt so far. As Levi Edwards comes off in front of us, Gannon on in his place. He's had a really good 60-minute stint, hasn't he, Edwards?
Yeah.
Probably a case, as you say, of Mark Applegarth just rotating and resting a few bodies ahead of a big night on Friday.
Absolutely. No, I mean, he's done well as Levi. He was out for a long time with a knee injury.
Good-looking effort with the conversion. It's a great-looking effort with the conversion. Miles Harrison pulls out some acrobatics to score in the corner and then backs it up with his best kick of the afternoon.
Well, this is the try of the game, isn't it? Have a look at it. Hingano across over the top there to Harrison. And that's a great finish in the corner from the
real winger's finish, isn't it?
It is indeed.
2 minutes left on the bin, guys.
So Samet gets us back underway. Decent distance on the kick-off, makes it towards the goal. Right, team being met well. George Flanagan makes sure he didn't miss.
Yeah.
Team rode it well and then gets a penalty. Mackler and Sal just messing around at the ruck, and
well, he got sucked into it, didn't he?
It's Mackler. Yeah, it's Mackler who actually makes the initial contact. It's Flanagan who's in there with him, but Charlie Mackler, dual registration from Warrington, with a big hit, but then just maybe just getting a little bit carried away at the ruck, leading to the penalty, and Yorker on the front foot again. Big contacts going in. Jack Martin that time making his presence felt with ball in hand. This game maybe gone on the scoreboard, but there's plenty of feeling in it. Gannon plays the ball. McShane brings it out to the left-hand side to Harris. Harris has options on both sides, but just brings it out to Hingano, who eventually is dragged down by the Keighley defence. McShane, team B, finds a space between A and B defender, which trundles through, gets his team some decent yards. He's Cook, Harris out the back, Brown, long ball out to Law. Law met, and then Sal gets across and forces him into touch.
He took out his own teammate on the process.
Another concern for an HIA here, I think, from a Keighley perspective. I think it is friendly fire.
It is.
As Junior Sal got across, so well, it doesn't rain, it pours from a Keighley perspective.
It's Brad Holroyd, I think it is.
It's Holroyd who gets one.
Yeah.
You see on the replay, Sal got across. Didn't know anything about it, Junior Sal. Holroyd's head just popping up in the wrong place. And
got the thumbs up there from the physio. I think he's going to be all right there, Lewis.
I would imagine
Let's go.
That stings a bit, but he is staying on the field.
Right. He's coming now. Let's play the ball.
And between himself and Junior Sal, yeah, there it is. They've done a good job there of shutting that York attack down. Now Keighley back with ball in hand.
Here we are, wait.
And then a penalty for the Cougars.
I think he's refereed the game well, Matt.
Yeah.
Today, I think he's let the game flow, hasn't he? He hasn't been whistle happy.
No, he's had a good rhythm to it. A spell where Keighley were giving away a lot of ruck infringements, and he was penalising them with a 6 again, but I think he's allowed the game to flow, given as much opportunity as he can.
Good contact there from Cook.
So Keighley back up to their full complement. Bowes coming back onto the field. And here he is at dummy half. And there goes the 6 again signal from the referee for more just messiness really in the ruck. So Keighley with a rare opportunity to try and work themselves into a good ball situation and put some pressure on the line. Here comes Ryder from deep, takes the ball above his head, shrugs off a couple of tackles, still going, eventually stopped. Looking for the offload, but couldn't quite get it away. And now Bowes, fresh off the sin bin, brings his team forward. Now they come out to the left-hand side. Here's Flanagan. Huge shot goes in.
Down. Wow. What a shot there, Sam Cook.
Sam Cook.
Oh, I love that.
going after Charlie Mackler. He certainly didn't miss. Keighley still with ball in hand. Bowes will look to go himself from dummy half. He's stopped short. This is going to be held up. And that is the last, so it will be York ball in their own 10. But how about that from Sam Cook?
Oh, great shot from Sam Cook.
Here it is again. He's Mackler into the line. Bosh.
Wow.
Get that into you.
Yep, absolutely. Strong contact for cert.
So York
You're holding him in.
back in possession, getting themselves away from their own line. Joe Brown stopped
Hold.
eventually.
Hold.
And then the penalty comes, which will allow York to march themselves downfield. And I have to say, even with the scoreboard being as it is and the clock being where it is, Hendo, both teams are still physically committed to this game. It's not really fizzled out, has it? And
no, it hasn't.
Maybe a bit too committed in that sense because the referee marches Keighley back.
I think both
another
coaches.
10 metres for dissent.
I think both coaches will just be worried, Lewis, about it just getting a little bit
Yeah.
tasty at this back end. We don't lose anybody getting sent off or sin binned or potential bans and stuff like that. I think that's probably one of the things I'll be worried about here. Just don't lose the cool, lose your cool guys. Don't lose the plot.
No, there's a lot of rugby league
Yeah.
to be played across this season. You don't want to be losing players right at the very start. York, of course, have that date pretty much in the diary now. Hull KR on Friday night, live and exclusive here on the Sportsman.
Pass.
As they go again down the left-hand side.
It's Ollie Field.
Ollie Field looking to find some space. He's in a corner. The reaction from the York fans on that far side will tell you that that is a try. And the Knights continue to ring the sword through Keighley and continue to rack up the points.
Yeah. It's a wonderful try from Ollie Field here. And it's Joe Brown's pass. It's the quality of catch pass from Joe Brown that releases Field to put him through, which is the detail of skill I'd like to focus on. But nice wide pass again from Harrison. Garner at the back to Brown, but see that catch pass from Brown to Field puts him through. It's still a wonderful finish. He's got plenty of work to do.
Takes some finish in that.
It does. Again, nice to see the halfbacks linking together. But Joe Brown's pass, that catch pass to Field, and Field still had some work to do. He had to get through the line.
Sama got across to him, didn't he? But unable to force him over the sideline.
It's a good try.
Keep working hard. We've got 10 minutes left.
So another kick. Pretty much in the stand. Miles Harrison, but he's nudged one over from here already this afternoon, so he'll fancy his chances again. Just falls short. Radar was pretty good, but just didn't quite have the legs.
It's Cougar 6, York Knights 62.
There's quite a strong breeze now around the ground as the late afternoon sun ebbs away here in North Yorkshire. The big coat's gone on.
Stay outside, guys. Thank you. Stay outside.
Andrew Henderson revealed to me before this game that he's wearing a heated gilet.
100%.
Got a jumper with an on button.
Well, it's got a bit of bite to it.
Yeah, it's not warm.
No, it's not.
Hold. Go on.
We're about 12 minutes away from conclusion here at Cougar Park. And it will be York who head into the sheds as victors and head into the third round of the Betfred Challenge Cup. And possibly, I'd have to double check this, but possibly a rugby league first here because the 18th man option has come into play because of another failed HIA for Keighley. So they do have the option of calling Bobby Hartley into action.
I think he's out there. I think he's out
He is there, yep.
Made the tackle there, is Hartley.
I'm not sure that's happened before. I've certainly not seen it.
I think it's happened once in the NRL from memory, but
McShane out to Harris. Gannon. Buchanan stabs a kick through. He was running out of space on that right-hand side, so took the option of putting boot to ball. Keighley are back in possession, but again buried into their own corners. Holroyd looking to try and get himself away, but York on him like a rash and forcing him back towards his own goal line. Just manages to stay in the field of play.
And another one,
another big shot going in. The line speed from York, really impressive. Not letting Keighley out. Jack Martin on that occasion, who's involved in the next tackle in the set as well.
That's a tremendous defensive set there from the Knights, Lewis.
Well, it's less than 10 metres.
Yeah.
They've made, and so the kick comes in from Bowes at dummy half, taken by Joe Brown, who brings us out to the left-hand side, just trying to give Miles Harrison a little bit of space to work with, but has to cut back in where he's brought down inside Keighley territory. Holyfield, fresh from scoring that try, making some decent progress up the middle, and now Jack Martin ramps in, makes good progress. So again, York find themselves in good ball, looking to put more points on the board. Jacob Gannon has a crack now at the line. He's brought down 9 metres away. McShane out to Harris. Harris to Teamy on the crash ball. He helps himself to his second try of the afternoon. Kind of really nice line, the York middle, and just went straight through for his second meat pie of the affair.
Yeah, well, you called it there, Lewis. It was a great line from Jack Teamy. Once again, it was a width play from York. Harris skimming across the line. And then he finds Teamy. You see it here. Harris coming across, drop-off options there. And Teamy nice and direct, punching a great in-line into space. He timed it really, really well. And Harris, good decision to play short there to Teamy. He gets on the inside shoulder of his defender in front of him and just pierces the line and scores his second try of the afternoon.
Well, I don't think we're being presumptuous, Hendo, if we take this opportunity now to talk about the third round and the visit of Hull KR to York next Friday night and what that will mean for the club and the opportunity that will give the club, you know, bringing one of the real big boys of the Betfred Super League to town.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think certainly from our perspective, it'd be great if we just see Miles Harrison convert the try. Look, for our perspective, it'd be great to show that we as a club can host Super League rugby. We had it a couple of years ago against Lee, and we had a good crowd, and it was a good performance that day. And that's what we'll be hoping for again, is getting a good performance against a good side in Hull Kingston Rovers. Will bring great support. There should be a wonderful atmosphere. And again, for our players, a real opportunity to test themselves against a quality side from the next level. And you never know, as we've said, the beauty of the Cup, you never know.
That's why we love it. That's why this competition continues to fascinate and inspire, and we'll dream of being under that arch in June.
It'll be great for our fans as well to actually see Super League Rugby League live. You know, it's give them a taste of potentially what could come in the future.
Shane to Jack Martin. Viewers that have been tuning into the Sportsman for a few years will of course remember in lockdown we had Wigan versus York behind closed doors. This will be a very different experience as Keighley are going to get some more points on the board. The interception it's Whitford who's gone over, just bumps the ball up into the air, plucks it out of the sky, and Keighley have their second try of the afternoon through Oliver Whitford. We'll see it again, it's Ingano, Brown, just trying that catch and pass. We saw it earlier, he got it right, didn't quite manage to pull it off on that occasion. And Ollie Whitford, the man on the spot to take advantage of it. Caught everyone by surprise there, Hendo.
Yeah, it was almost a carbon copy of the play that Ollie Field scored on, wasn't it? And the ball from Hingano out the back to Brown, and he tries to release the pass quickly, but Whitford on that occasion was wise to it, knocks it up for himself and races the length to score under the post and get some consolation for the Cougars.
meat and drink, you would think. Jack Miller from this range, just brush this over. There we go, so
Successful conversion by number 7, Jack Miller.
something to shout about from a Keighley perspective late in this second half. So York will get us back underway for Liam Harris. Keighley now with the job of getting themselves out of their own territory again. And Hendo, I'm going to give you the job to think about our Betfred player of the match. I'll give you a minute or two to think about that.
Be a tough one,
yeah, there's a lot of options today.
Wow.
A lot of candidates.
There is.
The Holroyd away for Keighley on this left-hand side. Flicks it back on the inside, or it's picked up by Buchanan, so York back in possession. For the first time we've really seen Keighley get on the outside of this York defence. Martin now fires in. Just over 3 minutes remaining. We'll see it again. Here it is. Holroyd gets away. It's a good defensive effort, actually, isn't it? By Joe Law, just to get out to him and stop that break from turning into points. It's a team B. Plays the ball. McShane out to Cook. Cook with the offload, and that falls to a Keighley hand. So Endo will just use this little lull to sort themselves out.
It's a tough one,
it's
isn't it?
Tough job.
It is. Look, I think
your Betfred player of the match.
Yeah, look, I think it's a tough one today. I think there's been some wonderful performances across the board for the York Knights this afternoon. I think both the halves, Liam Harris and Adahingano, have dictated proceedings well with their kicking game and their pass selections, scoring and tries themselves and setting them up. But I think Jordan Thompson again's been industrious in the middle. But I'm going to give it to Connor Fitzsimmons this afternoon. I think it's the impact that I felt he had when he came off the bench. He really had some impetus in his carries, took his try well as well, and I thought looked pretty industrious as well with his effort areas off the ball too. So for me, it's Connor Fitzsimmons this afternoon.
Keighley now looking to try and just throw the ball around a bit. Try and find some space. This is the last. Holroyd. Farrell with a chip over the top, but never really going to turn into any opportunity. Now Liam Harris could be away, racing up the middle. Eventually reeled in by the Keighley defence, but up towards the halfway line. As the clock ticks down into the final couple of minutes here at Cougar Park. Ngannou again with a miss-out ball. Buchanan will look to just shore up Farrell and Sal. Eventually he is brought down 20 metres away. Have York got time for one more score? McShane keeps the ball in hand. Looks to try and wriggle free, but eventually he's brought down. Cook brings us out to the left-hand side. Harris. Oh, Jesse D nearly through for his hat-trick, but eventually reeled in. Tackles still in hand for York, so plenty of opportunity. Team B, could he have a hat-trick?
Oh.
Just forced back.
Well, you wouldn't have heard the end of it if he scored a hat-trick today, I tell you.
McShane out to left-hand side to Harris. Could be in here, they are in here. Really nice work from Liam Harris to just open up the space for Oliver Whitford to go through for his second. And York finishing this game, as they have done throughout the full 80 minutes, playing some really nice stuff, scoring on that left-hand side.
Yep, Ollie Field it was who gets the try. And Liam Harris was the provider down that short side.
Yeah, Ollie Field, sorry.
Yep.
Whitford, of course,
the opposite number.
The opposite number.
Both number 20.
Both number 20, both called Ollie.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. It was Liam Harris, it was a provider.
Try scorer there for York was number 7, Liam Harris.
Harris, one of those players over the thought that would have been on your list for potential players of the match.
Well, I said I did give him a mention as him and Adahingano
on this game.
have both been brilliant today. And I could have easily given it to either one of them two, the halves. I think they've both been outstanding. I just thought when Fitzy came on, I thought he made a big difference, when he came on. And I just feel like, he was our man of the match today.
So there's the hooter. The conversion attempt from Miles Harrison will be the last act of the afternoon in front of a very happy band of travelling York supporters. They will be snapping up their tickets, you would think, for Friday night. Harrison steps up, another really good effort. He's put his foot through that. He's just pushed it to the right-hand side, but I'm sure we won't lose too much sleep over that one. A very polished performance from York, 72 points to 12. They've beaten Keighley, and really, from minute one, complete control.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was very much a professional performance, a patient performance from the York Knights today. And I thought 1 to 17, they all did their jobs extremely well. They all made a difference when they were on that field. I think we're in total control pretty much from minute one. You know, the first set of the game, they rolled down the hill easily enough, finished in the corner, and they just stuck with that process. And then as time wore on, they just started to loosen up the opposition. The points came, and I thought the variety of tries that were scored, you know, sometimes direct close to the line, other times we saw the halfbacks linking up together, you know, and catching them on the edges. So it was nice to see the variety, sometimes down the short side as well. So I thought the attack from York today showed a lot of variety there and where they scored their points. But defensively, for me, they were outstanding. I just thought they just really restricted Keighley's go forward, gave them very minimal opportunities to create points and create line breaks and create any chances of putting a dent in their try line. So overall, I think a comprehensive victory and a brilliant performance from the York Knights.
Well, plenty to shout about for those York fans, plenty of tries to look back on. We'll start off with this one, the first one of the second half. Fitzsimmons just crashing his way over.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave you to just talk us through the action in the second half. I'll get myself pitch side to mop up some post-match reaction. But it is York heading through to the third round.
Yeah, no problems. And then we see Harry Bowes here score Keighley's first points. Oh, sorry, almost score Keighley's first points. It's Jack Miller as Bowes gets the ball steal from Brendan Sandy. And then close to the try line, Jack Teamby powers over. And he further extended the tally for the York Knights here. As we see Teamby gets low, powers over the line and extends the Knights' lead further. And then this try here, Cook out the back to Hingano. Lovely vision from Hingano over the top there to Miles Harrison, who finishes in the corner. Fantastic try. Cook out the back to Hingano. He sees the space there as Whitford comes in, and that's a wonderful finish from Miles Harrison to extend the Knights' lead even further. And a nice two-pass shift there from the halves working together. And it's the catch pass from Joe Brown there that releases Ollie Field through the hole. Still had some work to do, Field. He has to shrug off a would-be tackler and then finish in the corner. But when you see it again, great width from the halves. Lovely catch pass from Joe Brown. And a wonderful finish again from Ollie Field. And then nice line here from Jack Teamby. It's Liam Harris. He just comes across the line, shows the drop-off play back on the inside, as you see here, straightens up, and then Teamby just times his run to perfection, runs a great in-line, blowing the inside shoulder of his opposite defender to power over for his second try. And then this again, the ball movement, it's similar play that we saw before where Brown was trying to release Field. This time Whitford from the Keighley Cougars was smart enough to pluck it out of the air and race all the way under the score, under the post to get that consolation try for the Cougars that was much needed for them. And then here you go, final here, short side play. Liam Harris, great vision. He sees that Ollie Field's got an opportunity here, mismatch the numbers on that short side, and he just plays a nice short pass to Field, who gets over for his second try of the game. So fantastic performance there from the York Knights overall. They'll be pleased to be through to round 3 of the Challenge Cup, where they'll play the LNER Community Stadium on Friday night against Hull Kingston Rovers. But I'll now turn our attention to our Betfred man of the match, Connor Fitzsimmons, who is with our man, Lewis Smith.
Connor, many congratulations on that overall performance, but from a personal point of view, you've just got yourself the player of the match accolade, so congratulations on that.
Thank you very much, mate.
How did it feel out there? Obviously, it was quite a large scoreline, but you know, your guys really put a big effort in there today.
Yeah, we talked about being disciplined at the start, and I thought the lads that started really did that. Lads that came on as well, I thought we were great. We just talked about being composed in the game, and I thought we were that. Second half, we probably got a bit sloppy in our D and that, but overall it was a good performance.
And obviously a try for yourself as well in that. You know, it's a great overall performance from yourself, but just talk us through that try.
Yeah, I don't get many, so it's nice to get over it, but like you say, it's a team performance, and I thought we were great today.
And before we bring in your head coach, Mark Applegarth, obviously a big game next week now against Hull Kingston Rovers. How does that feel, just be looking forward to a game of that magnitude?
Yeah, it's the games that you want to play in. Yeah. It's nice to have OKR coming to our stadium, but like I say, we need to look at what we're focusing on ourselves this game. And yeah, we'll go again Friday.
Connor, thanks for joining us. Many congratulations, and
Thanks,
we'll bring in head coach Mark Applegarth. Mark, prior to the game, you mentioned obviously that your team, your boys needed to come into this with the right mentality, approaching it like a big game. It certainly appeared as though they did that. You must be pleased.
Yeah, really pleased, if I'm honest with you. It's always a tough place to come. We knew Keighley were going to be physical, and we had to earn the right to play how we wanted to play. So a couple of areas we need to probably look at fixing up, as try line D. I thought we conceded a sloppy try there, but overall pretty happy with how we went. But we're under no illusions too that we probably need to step it up a gear or two going into next Friday against the champion team.
And just before we look ahead to next Friday, looking at today in particular, you must have been in particular pleased the fact that you scored early on, you scored just before half-time, straight away after half-time, and again finished it off. That was a real sort of professional mentality there.
Yeah, I'm more looking at it as defence, if I'm honest with you. I'm really pleased with how we started in terms of how we transitioned into his D and how we went about as business there. We knew that if we got that right, we'd score points if we were in right areas at field. But there's always the danger that you can dip your toe in terms of defence and not go about your business the right way. And I thought what got us the right to get them points in the first half were how we applied ourselves defensively. So really happy with that. As I say, overall not a bad day at the office.
And you talked there about the defence. Obviously 34-0. At half-time, you could have been forgiven for having one eye on Hull KR next week, but you didn't really. You came out that second half and again defended really strong and attacked really positively as well.
Yeah, I don't. It's too tough a game to take your eye off the ball. I've been in enough games myself to see what happens if you do that. And then Keighley are going to be a good team in League One, and it's really important we show them that respect, that we don't start getting a bit sloppy with that sort of stuff. So really happy how we've gone about as business. As I said, one or two areas we can look at fixing up, but overall not a bad day at the office.
You've had a really good following today. It appeared on the terraces there, quite vocal. How big will it be now for the York City Knights to take on a team like Hull Kingston Rovers next Friday night at home? What can we expect? Well,
hopefully a cracking atmosphere. I think wherever York fans travel, they're vocal. Hopefully they'll turn out in numbers behind us, because they've supported us thick and thin since my time here. OKR travel well. I think there were about 2,000 over in Amsterdam too. So it's got all the makings for a decent atmosphere on a Friday night, and all we're going to be focusing on is controlling what we can, and that's putting in a good performance against a team that's probably going to be in that top 2 or 3 next year in Super League.
It's definitely a game that we're looking forward to on the Sportsman next week. Mark, thanks once again for joining us so quickly, and all the best next week.
No, thank you very much. Hopefully see you next Friday.
So York through to the third round of the Betfred Challenge Cup, and Mark Applegarth, Hendo, will be a pretty happy man, I think, tonight.
Oh, absolutely, mate. He'll be absolutely buzzing. He will be. I think it was a real good performance overall. I think he'll be happy with the way the team started. I think he'll be happy with the players that came off the bench and the impact that they had. They maintained those standards and elevated it to a degree. And then even towards the back end of that midway part of the second half, obviously moved a few people into some different roles as well to have a look at them and try those combinations, which I all thought looked pretty comfortable, and guys seem to know their roles. So I think overall he'll be pleased with that. It was a comprehensive victory, a professional performance, and I think they can take a lot of encouraging signs from that this afternoon, leading into not only the round 3 Betfred Challenge Cup game, but leading into the season as well.
So that confirms the lineup of a bumper week of rugby league coming up here on the Sportsman. York, of course, as we've mentioned plenty of times, taking on Hull KR on Friday night. You can watch that game live and exclusive, part of the Challenge Cup third round doubleheader. We'll be at the Shea Saturday lunchtime for Halifax Panthers against Catalan Dragons. Join us Wednesday night as well for our Betfred Super League season preview show. We're covering all 12 clubs. And whilst you're here, hit that subscribe button. We've got loads of content already available, building up to this new campaign. Plenty more on the way, and as we've mentioned, the big one on the horizon, Las Vegas, will be out there bringing you all the build-up to that incredible day of rugby league as well. But for the time being, it is York who have got the job done here in Keighley. Thank you for joining us, Hendo. Thank you for your time across the afternoon as well. We will see you at the LNER Stadium on Friday night, where York will take on Hull KR in the third round of the Betfred Challenge Cup. See you then.
A special atmosphere for one of the great occasions of any rugby league season. He's got the strength, he's got the speed. Drenched, dazzling in this wonderful, most famous and historic of competitions.